So after the events of the Chapter 6 end event, I've been doing a little bit more thinking about a few things that have happened in the last couple of years, even the last 8 years, while the simulation has been running. And the involvement of the red cube during the end event. Now these cubes are very powerful sentient beings, which the Dark Presence found out. Now this specific cube has been going around in OG, causing havoc or even havoc energy, which is a whole interesting thing by itself. Now indeed, these cubes can be destructive, which we learn from Sloan and just by observing.
Last time it nearly destroyed the island.
But maybe that isn't the whole truth, or at least we should kind of consider something else. Now this season in Pacific Break, we had the return of a cube cradle being piloted by the Dark Voyager, someone we haven't seen for a good couple of million loops. Of course, I'm referring to this that we see in one of the trailers for Chapter 7 Season 1. Now I have been flipping and flopping between what I believe this to be portraying. Now total elapsed time in base reality is 8 years, 9 weeks, 3 days, 9 hours and 30 minutes. That's how long Fortnite's been about. Today is the first day of Phase 2, but everything else is still pretty much continuity that we experienced up to this point. It's not a full reset, but maybe the file save has been tinkered with. And that's why I think the cubes are important to why we currently don't have Reload, Blitz and OG. And to add to that, I also think the Dark Voyager is important to this too. Now I did theorise that maybe time spent in the base reality of 8 years, 9 weeks, 3 days, 9 hours and 30 minutes gets added to the complete total simulated time across all alliterations, which is billions of years. So they've done this billions of time, but obviously it doesn't really make sense with the whole beginning Phase 2. Because of course they would at least be on Phase 3 in my opinion. But you don't know with Fortnite, so at least put a pin on that. But what it appears to put across is the fact that in the 8 years there has been millions and billions of alliterations that have played out inside the 8 years. So yes, thanks to the Dark Voyager, some game modes are completely offline. Boom! There goes the battle bus. Just like that, the Dark Voyager severed the ties to Reload, Blitz and OG. It will take hard work to get the battle bus back up and running, but the tide's high and the surf's up in Battle Royale. So from this standpoint, it would appear that the Dark Voyager destroying the battle bus has affected the other game modes. But as we know, the simulation did break down. There was an error protocol involving the Dark Presence, which of course have brought them onto Phase 2 of the sim. But strange enough, we have had some weird goings on. The Tomato Head ending up in Chapter 7, the Durr Burger ending up in Blitz, things travelling to where they shouldn't be. So of course at the time we blamed the red cubes, or indeed the cubes, as the original Butterfly event. We did blame the cubes as well, even Sloan.
Last time it nearly destroyed the island.
But maybe that isn't quite the case, because as we know, the cubes are part of the Last Reality's army. Now they have free will and they can sometimes help us if people are going to beam at them, just like the Dark Presence did. And of course the blue cube too. I'm going to speculate if side rays rifts are essentially cracks in time and space, I would also suspect that they are also cracks in the simulation. And that's why the Last Reality sent the cube. Maybe it was to reset things there and then because the visitor caused some issues. And I know I'm about to state the obvious, but opening that rift made worlds collide and things were rifting in and out of reality, which they wasn't supposed to be. They're literally the same season being played over again in another sim. As I suspected, OG wasn't in the past. They just decided for whatever reason to replay that loop and put the visitor back in, present day visitor. Maybe the cubes saw this as an error, that cubes act like nodes in a computer system, which they need to go to the actual 0 point to reset that sim. Or at least a zero shot, like an off button, but it's not easy to press. You actually still got to get in the sim to turn it off. Which leads me to look at the in-between slightly different. It's like a massive data center for the cubes. It's the information of all reality. It's how they learn. It's why the Dark Voyager is essentially a cube by the looks of things so far. Because to read the information coming from the in-between, you need to be a high level intelligence, which I believe the cubes are. Like literally, these cube cradles are big, massive data processors essentially processing that information. And to be fair, looking at the original cube cradle, it does kind of look like that actually. So are the cubes kind of like nodes responsible for checking the sim? During the whole butterfly event, the cube moved around printing runes and then sent itself, the cube, towards the 0 point. Eventually this overloaded it, causing it to explode. A slight malfunction maybe, or was it deliberate? Oh, we're going to the in-between, this is crazy. One of the craziest things about Fortnite is the in-between. So it'd be good to go back. And hopefully this might connect to some other events happening soon. The loopers got placed in the in-between and then got sent back out, and they seemed to solve the issue. It was healed. Inside the 0 point, the Nexus core, I believe, functions like a data center, as I said, since we have been in a simulation run by the Last Reality, and what we see in the in-between can only be interpreted by higher level intelligence like cubes. Fast forward a bit, maybe several million years, during the Butterfly 2.0, the cube entered the Nexus itself to run checks or to stabilize a couple of realities. This is why you see a couple lines of reality red, like it's infected it, but I think it's checking it. This might be because things like the Tomato Head ended up in chapter 7 and Blitz and Reload and all the things bouncing around with them modes. And I think that kind of ties in with why the Dark Voyager shot down the battle bus and now other game modes are unplayable. I believe using the battle bus, pardon the pun, as a vehicle to tell this narrative is great, but the wording is the Dark Voyager severed the ties to Reload, Blitz and OG. So I believe it is a bit more deeper, which may relate to obviously this stuff as well. So essentially that's what the red cube was doing here, severing the ties. This then triggered a system reboot when Jones got the cube to sort out the dark presence. And obviously we've seen them in cube language, this error message essentially we see in cube language and all Last Reality language, but maybe it's the cubes talking to maybe the Dark Voyager that we need to move to phase 2, or maybe the Dark Voyager talking to whatever to go into phase 2. But yes, the cubes and the loopers in this sim still have free will and their decisions still matter. So the dark presence can't just beam at the cube regardless they may be on the same team. The cube's going to sort him out. So of course this kind of reverts all the way back to the red butterfly we saw during the visitor event, which indeed was a little bit glitched out. It would move slowly and then all suddenly it would move quickly. It was literally glitching out. Something to probably note down now is that it was laid with gold. So maybe this was the Dark Voyager's early interception into the current storyline. So maybe the Voyager has been watching for a while. Something to note down about obviously the Last Reality and possibly the Nothing, which has already been teased this chapter, is Byte's loading screen. Always watching. Very red as well as these images, funny enough. Now I'm pretty sure that the base reality actually hasn't resetted. We know from Hope that the Spirit siblings stayed in chapter 6. Everything is still continuity, so we're just in phase 2 of the base reality that has still been going on for 8 years. I don't think this is a complete new base reality, but it is phase 2 of that. A slight sort of a reboot essentially. So I do believe the in-between the cubes are important to how the sim works. Of course, Mark Rain's word for this season was dodecahedron, and obviously the Last Reality logo in my eyes is sacred geometry. You can fit most of the platonic shapes within that, which would be cubes, diamonds, whatever. I think there's more to story than meets the eye, and we're starting to get involved in that part. Yeah, I'm literally seeing people put the Last Reality logo, which is a 2D shape essentially, on like triangles and it all matches. I'm like, yes, because it is based on the Metatron cube, which can fit all the platonic shapes in it. So yes, if you throw any of them shapes on the Last Reality logo, it will fit. It has 13 points like the Metatron cube, 6 outer circles, 6 inner circles, really small no, and of course the big central one. I still think this is the nothing, and I know people probably can't see my vision here, but Metatron as well as an Archangel, it would literally have a form like Seraphim. It'd be sick when it arrives, or nay, or us, or whatever. But anyway guys, comment down below what you make of this. Hit the like button, subscribe to the YouTube channel, and until next time, has been your boy Mr. JLY. Next time, bye bye.